with America's most beautiful theme park announcing their 10th roller coaster, all hype should be on that project, right? Well, thanks to BGW fans, it appears that Busch Gardens Williamsburg is already working on their next roller coaster that could become the largest in the history of the park. Welcome to Theme Park Predictions and More. My name is Brandon, and you're going to love every aspect of this video, especially the ending. But first, I'm going to go over the documents with you that BGW fans discovered about the potential height for the next coaster. Then, I'm going to show you where in the park Busch Gardens is planning on building this, and finally give you my 4 predictions as to which type of coaster could be built in this location. So how do we know that this coaster could be breaking the 200-foot tall barrier? Well, a few weeks ago, park fans notified BGW fans about a brand new FAA height waiver that was filed by Busch Gardens Williamsburg. And here's the waiver so you can check it out, but I want you to notice the height and elevation section. It says site elevation 82 feet. Meaning how high the land is above sea level. Then you can see the 220 feet for the structure height, which is the tallest point this coaster could reach. And lastly, the proposed coaster could reach up to 302 feet above sea level. But will Busch Gardens Williamsburg actually make this coaster over 200 feet? More on that in a few minutes. Now you might be wondering, how do we know the location for the project, which honestly is pretty simple since we already know the longitude and latitude for the highest point of the new potential coaster, which would be right where the red dot is on your screen. Now there might be some of you wondering, how can I and BGW fans be so sure that this is for a new coaster and not say for a new tower ride like a Star Flyer? Well, with the tallest point being located so far away from the rest of the Germany section of the park, it's safe to assume that this means this is where the tallest point of the lift hill will be located. This area has been very active as of late with coaster rumors, in particular the Dragonspire project, which would have been an Intamin shuttle giga coaster. And while the park's height waivers for the 350-foot tall plus coaster are still active, at this point that project seems to have taken a backseat to this one. Now, there is one last very important piece of information about the waiver for the project, and that is the waiver reveals that construction for this coaster is scheduled between February 2023 and March of 2024, which leads us to a 2024 opening date. So here is what I'm thinking for all 4 of these predictions. I see the park turning this building into the coaster station, which if you didn't already know, this exact building was actually the station for the park's former Aero Dragonfire that operated at the park from 1992 through 1998. Busch Gardens will finally build a much-needed roller coaster in this back section of the park, and I do not think that this will be an Intamin shuttle coaster, which in all honesty, I'm totally okay with, since in my opinion, that type of coaster didn't make a whole lot of sense with Pantheon just opening. And that leads us to what type of coaster could be built. Well, with this project not being the Intamin Giga like originally thought, I think it's safe to say that while I would still love for this project to be an Intamin, I just don't really see it in the cards as of this point. Now with that, could we see Busch Gardens Williamsburg and RMC work on bringing the world's first T-Rex to the park? This coaster type is bound to happen, I'd assume, and would provide a much more twisted hyper layout than Apollo's, and of course, offer better airtime and a few inversions. I feel like there would be no boundaries with an RMC T-Rex, and I think that this potentially could be a possibility, though I think the chances are pretty slim. Next up is the world's largest B&M wing coaster. Virginia does not offer a coaster like this, and the closest one is Wild Eagle located at Dollywood. So from a marketing standpoint, this coaster type makes a ton of sense for the park. We also know that the relationship with B&M and the SeaWorld parks is quite strong, considering we just saw the mini dive Emperor open at SeaWorld San Diego and the new stand-up coaster coming to SeaWorld Orlando in 2023. Now, what I love about a wing coaster in this area is the near misses the layout could offer with the trees and hopefully a few theming pieces. But then again, we are talking about Busch Gardens Williamsburg that did not spend any money on theming for Pantheon. So who knows? A B&M wing coaster would offer a reliable, high-capacity coaster that would feature a very beautiful mix of inversions, airtime hills, and other unique elements. And with the relationship with Intamin being so strong, I do think it's a wild card, but I definitely could see this project being an Intamin hypercoaster that features a few inversions and crazy airtime and a twisted layout. While I see the last few coaster types having a shot at what this new coaster could become, I still think the most likely coaster will be a new RMC Hyper Hybrid. I just think it makes all the sense in the world to do this, and since the park has a height waiver of 220 feet, I highly doubt they're going to make this coaster any lower than 200 feet. But why a hyper hybrid? Well, that's all thanks to Busch Gardens Tampa, since they are seeing a huge boost of attendance and buzz around Iron Gwazi, their new hyper hybrid coaster that just opened up earlier this year. It's no secret that RMC delivered on a coaster that instantly blew people away and busted everyone's top coaster list. Iron Gwazi is the real deal and is definitely in my top 3. It appears that Busch Gardens has been monitoring the early success of Iron Gwazi in terms of popularity and, most importantly, reliability. Since the opening of Gwazi, the coaster has suffered from no real extensive downtimes, which is honestly amazing. But here's a very intriguing thing. Iron Gwazi stands 206 feet tall, making it the world's tallest hyper hybrid coaster. The BGW height waiver is obviously for 220 feet, so I definitely predict that Busch Gardens Williamsburg is going after not only the height record, but aiming for the world's best roller coaster. To show you what type of coaster I'm expecting, I teamed up with my friends from Escape Designs and Elite Coasters to create an RMC hybrid coaster that will do some very nasty things. Things like an insanely long stall, a massive wave turn, and over a dozen spots of ejector airtime. And such a wicked ride needs a very catchy name, so we came up with a name that would pay homage to Draken Fire with the name Draken Mirror, which translated means sea dragon. The new RMC Hybrid would leave the station and take a 180-degree turn and then travel up the 215-foot tall lift hill. Once the train crests the tallest coaster in the park, they will then travel down a 207-foot tall drop at a 92-degree angle. And this is just the start of the coaster that offers 53 seconds of pure adrenaline. Some noteworthy elements of the coaster would be a step-up underflip, a zero-G stall, a downward outer banked wave turn, and a double inverting corner stall. You're going to experience 4 inversions, 76 miles an hour with 4,670 feet of twisted track, making Dragon Mirror a world-class roller coaster and quite possibly the best one in the world. Now be sure to become the newest Escape Design sub so you don't miss out on the full POV of Dragon Mirror that's going to be released very soon. And also, be sure to check out Elite Coasters, who also does some amazing no limits work and partnered with us to bring this coaster to life. With all that being said, what do you think about our creation of Dragon Mirror and my other predictions? And of course, I would love to hear your predictions as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile today, think positive, and keep riding coasters.